Don't you love me anymore?
1408.
While growing your bangs out, trying to find different hairstyles that you can possibly do without it looking weird. If they do get a little weird in this video, I apologize. I don't think you guys care that much about my hair, because we're here to talk about 1408. I'm gonna say right off the bat that this is one of my favorite Stephen King story adaptations. It's actually not a book that he wrote, but it is a short story, and I believe it's in Everything's Eventual. I've read every single story in that short story collection. It's one of my favorites of all time. That and Night Shift, oh my gosh. I almost repurchased that book today because I have no idea where my copy is of Everything's Eventual, and I saw it at Goodwill today for $1 or something. But we are talking about the movie, of course. So this stars John Cusack again and Samuel L. Jackson again. It's definitely keeping a theme from last week's movie of Cell. So fun fact about the story of 1408, it actually was never really meant to be written. He actually wrote it as an example for his book on writing, which if you're a writer, wannabe writer, anything like, or you just love Stephen King, read that book. I read that book and it is amazing. I highlighted so many things in that book. He gives his tips on writing and it's just amazing. And he actually wrote the beginning of 1408 as an example to use for how to like develop plot for an example in that book. But he was really into the story, so he ended up finishing it and then publishing it in a collection of short stories. Fun fact, his short stories are my favorite things that he writes. I think his full-length novels are really, really good, but I do honestly love his short stories the most. I'm reading Bazaar of Bad Dreams right now, so if you want a book review when I'm finished with those stories, let me know. So this movie follows John Cusack's character, Mike Enslin, and he is basically a paranormal investigator. He actually doesn't really believe in any of it himself though, but he goes to the Dolphin Hotel where he's heard that this specific room, 1408, is haunted and that people who stay there end up dying. Now the reference to the number 13 is literally plastered all over this movie, like in your face. It's almost too obvious how many references there are to the number 13. I'm not even gonna list any of them because it's like, it's kind of obvious, but I mean just literally everything. Even when he's on the phone and it says this is number 5, this is number 8, you know that creepy scene? Guess what 5 and 8 add up to? Not to mention the standard edition of this film, the runtime is 104 minutes and 8 seconds. This is one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations because they stayed so true to the feeling of Stephen King. Like just some of the things that they say, the things that you see are oddly disturbing, but in such a unique way where it's not a typical like Hollywood horror film, if that makes sense. Yet it still appeals to the Hollywood mainstream horror audience. For example, the quote of "My brother was eaten by wolves on the Connecticut Turnpike." I just feel like that in itself as a quote is so Stephen King-esque, and just the things that are happening in the film are just very Stephen King. Now to get on to my review of the film. So obviously I really like this movie. John Cusack, amazing. Huge crush on him. I don't know why. I thought this did a really good job building up gradual scares and how it was just slowly but surely it seemed like he was losing his mind, and it was just started with simple things where you're like, am I seeing things? Is it the room? Is it actual spirits happening? And then it just escalates so fast and it's like, whoa, okay, clearly it's the room and he can't escape, and it just gets really sad at times. So I'd say scare factor is, okay, what are my bangs doing? I don't have my glasses on so I can't really see the viewfinder that much, but I just see this big chunk of skin through my bangs. I'd say scare factor is really good for this film. It's not too like jump scary, it's genuinely scary things, although it didn't scare me in the sense that of like Mama or The Ring did, for example, because they're very bizarre things that happen, and I think it's almost too bizarre where it might not scare a lot of people because it's just weird. Now I'm going to talk about the ending, and there's two endings actually. I've seen both of them. I definitely prefer one over the other because it stayed true to the actual ending of the story. If you haven't seen the movie and you don't want it spoiled or you haven't read the story or anything, tune out now because I'm going to talk about the two different endings and what I like and didn't like about them. So in one ending, Mike Enslin dies. In the other, he survives. Basically what ends up happening is he sets the room on fire, and in one ending he dies in the fire. Basically it'll look like a suicide because everyone who stays in that hotel ends up basically committing suicide because they just cannot escape, and then when they're found it's like, oh, they just killed themselves. But then people know it has to be the room. It's just a weird coincidence that all these people are killing themselves in weird ways in this room. I also really like the scenes where he sees each person who has killed themselves before in the room. That ending I love. I love when he dies, which sounds morbid, but you guys know how I am. That's how Stephen King wrote the story, is that Mike dies in the end. And so the first time I ever saw this film, I went into it because I'd read the story. I was like, oh, I know what's gonna happen. And then the ending that I saw for the first time, he survives, and I was like, that's not it at all, and I immediately hated it. I was like, no, this is not how it goes. Granted, The Mist was different as well, the ending. So I don't know why I got so mad that they changed the ending. I think it's because it changed it from a Stephen King ending and it made it happy again. And I didn't like that. Like, realistically, he should die there. Like, that makes it sadder and more interesting and scarier in my opinion. So the fact in one of the versions he doesn't die and then he ends up writing about it later is just bizarre. I do like though the fact that he gets out at one point but it's actually a vision, like a hallucination, that the room is playing tricks on him. I love that because the first time I saw it I was like, oh shit, he's actually out, and then I was like, no, there's something going on here. So I like all the twists and turns that it takes and like the weird roller coaster of a ride this movie really is. So if you watch it with the right ending, this film is amazing. I really, really like this film. I could see why some people might not, and I think it's because it's a little bit different. Those are my thoughts for 1408. Let me know yours down below. Overall, love this movie. If you haven't seen it yet, why not? Let me know some movie requests down below, what Stephen King films you'd like me to review next. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Are you coming home? I just want you to come home.
Johnny's voice. No, it's not.
I just
You
want you to
know
come
that
home.
is not your son.
I just want you to come
Clay,
home.
no!